welcome, my Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Welcome to your timeless work, career, and vocation read. I am your reader, Mark Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short. Professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Productions since 1998, author of Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, available on Kindle, link in the description box, and Patreon creator. I got my humans, my heroes, my immortals, my gods, my goddesses, and my witches over there, and we're having a lot of fun. I stream there every morning with coffee, usually in a bathrobe, talking about the lunar astrology for the day and the magical opportunities as a result, because I'm the Archangel of Lyons. Mark Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal, and I am a Virgo, and if you are new to my channel, let's talk about it. This is what's called a 3 levels of power reading. 3 levels of power I learned from Carolyn Myss, MYSS. This is her archetype deck. There is a link in the description box to a lecture of her talking about the 3 levels of power that you can use for many areas of your life, but we're doing life purpose, work, career, and vocation. There are chakras involved. There are 12 cards, 3 cards from 4 different decks to get you clues, tips, and hints about the fulfillment of your life purpose through, here's another way of looking at it, your survival intuition, your creative intuition, and your visionary intuition, but I'll explain that as I go along, which is why I say the prayer before I do this, like cross every T, dot every I, particularly for my fellow Earth sign Virgo that I am. So it is a general read. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Your sun sign might have, for example, more resonance to your work, where your moon sign perhaps more for your vocation, the spiritual part of it. Certainly both feet on the floor if you can. Focus on your breath if you will. It's just a good idea to be here and now so that you can catch what the divine is sending through me and through these decks, which are all listed at the bottom of the description box with links. Give credit where credit is due. Other than that, that's enough exposition and explanation, don't you think? Please take a nice deep breath. It's just necessary. You have to do it every time on YouTube. So here we go. As I call upon the collective pantheons of angels, archangels, goddesses, gods, ascended masters of life purpose, and the higher selves of all involved, for the Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign watching this video, receiving this reading, I need 3 Caroline Myss archetype cards to show us the archetypal dynamics in the 8th chakra for this Taurus. That would be work, right? What they do, their physical power, right? First level of power, the literal world. The second level of power, the personal, the internal world, more heart, third eye, crown dynamic, their career, their hunger, their thirst, their passion. And for the 8th chakra dynamic, in the 8th chakra vocation, their spiritual calling, their visionary intuition. These are in the title. Let's see how brave you are. I have to say there has been a rash of divine child archetypes, it feels like, in the past 48 hours or so. Oh, right. I also, I did a tarot party last night on Zoom, so that came up there as well. I have the divine child archetype, but these other 2 I actually have as well. Let's look at this. You got the storyteller in your work, the divine child in your career, and the companion in your vocation. Different families. There are 9 different families of archetypes. Storyteller is creative, the creative family of archetype. The divine child is a survival family archetype. Everybody has the 4 survival archetypes. Child, victim, victor, which is 1 schemata, saboteur, empower, which is the 3rd, and the prostitute. Everybody has a child archetype. Maybe not everybody has the divine child archetype. It's a sub-pattern. And the companion you'd think would be, like romance and stuff. But no, it is the healing family of archetypes. So let's look at this. On each card is the shadow and the light. The shadow is what you are dealing with, the stuff that needs healing in your work. In this case, your work, career, vocation, obviously. But then upgrading, right, as you fulfill your life purpose, do the healing, what have you, to the light. So the storyteller in your work. The shadow attribute, making up tales that harm others. And even if that's not you doing it, that can be part of the lesson of what's going on. And yeah, maybe also office gossip, but it can also be, you know, industrial stuff going on, right? You know, like corporate takeovers and stuff like that, and stories that are not true, influencing things. It goes on a lot in the physical world. But the light attribute, ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. So, you know, how does that make its way into your work in the world? Now, I want to clarify, a lot of artists, let's say that's their career, in their work, they may do all sorts of different things that are not necessarily their art. So these 3 levels of power, bringing them into alignment is a good thing. But this does feel like somebody who's communicating, somebody who is in the world, communicating with the world. But Storyteller is very, very helpful. It helps people see where they are in a particular situation, in a narrative rather than just the cold hard facts, right? So that can be customer service. You know, it's like, well, you know, the product has to go from here to here, and you know, you tell them the story of it. So that can manifest itself all sorts of different ways, which is why we've got a lot more cards to hit the table to clarify that. In your career, the divine child, regardless of the sub pattern, the modifier is another way of saying that, I guess, the archetypal modifier. Everybody has the child archetype, but the child in and of itself is about, it's the guardian of safety and innocence, right? To see the world through fresh eyes every day and to bring your innocence, and particularly in your career, if you're not feeling safe and there's a lot of negativity going on in your field or in your career individually, this would kind of cover that, the shadow attribute and inability to defend oneself against negative forces, and considering the pandemic, and not just the viruses itself, now it's plural, variants, but all the stories around it, right? What's real, what's not. You so have to go with your own truth and your own gut in a hero's journey kind of way, right? Where there's going to be new info to process tomorrow, maybe even 10 minutes from now. So the light attribute, innocence, purity, and redemption, suggests a special connection with the divine, and I would suggest you look into that, right? To talk to the divine as parent. Now, I don't necessarily talk to all of my pantheons of the divine in a parental way, unless I'm coming from that child place. Like, I do not call Archangel Ariel mom, right? Or Archangel Michael dad. Well, Zeus is definitely a father archetype for me. So it's, you know, everybody looks at the divine through different lenses. You do you, right? That's why I'm like, whatever. You can't look at the light directly. Your third eye will burn out. So to cultivate that in your creativity, so this might be somebody who's working in some kind of storyteller field. Again, it could manifest itself all sorts of different ways. But that inner, the inner career right now is about survival archetype, living in the world, kind of first level of power stuff, but really tuned in, tapped in, turned on to a more innocent connection with the divine within, which nobody else needs to fucking know about. It's up to you who you want to share that with. And with the companion in the 8th chakra of your vocation, this is really about your life's calling. Now, the shadow attribute, betrayal by misusing confidences. It's yellow ink on a beige card. Loss of personal identity. So the shadow side of a companion, it is that person that there are confidences and there are secrets, and then you betray them by misusing the confidence that was given to you, like a con person, right? The light attribute, though, loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. And I have all 3 of these archetypes. You can have an archetype, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Storyteller, I have a season. Divine child, I have a lifetime. Companion, I have for a season. Comes and goes. Sacred Contracts, Carolyn Myss. Brilliant book. Brilliant process. It took me decades to get my chart, all 3 circles of of my sacred contracts chart down to a place. Still changes here and there, it's supposed to. But you put these all together, a divine companion, right? But a companion is usually a friend, right? That kind of companionship. It's not always romantic, sexual. Certainly it could be. It is a general read. But this is 8th chakra life calling stuff. So a companion, the calling is the companion. The passion is of the divine child. But the actual survival work is of the storyteller. So that's the most we're going to talk about any of those cards, I think, except for the last 3, the healing mantras to help them heal. Let's get some tarot on the table. Daughters of the Moon for the next 3 chakras down, right? The archetypes are the 8th chakra. So the crown, the third eye, the throat, and the heart. Let's see what's going on in your feminine energy, your internal, your yin-ternal, whatever you want to call it. Breathe. As I call upon my goddesses of earth, the sign of Taurus and powers of the north, please, my beloveds, heart, third eye crown. What's going on here for this Taurus collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, watching this video, receiving this reading, in their work with the storyteller? Just leave it in my hand or throw it on the table. Okay, excellent. Ace of Blades, Ace of Swords, the Sibyl, the Oracle of Delphi. There were 3 of them. One huffed the gas out of the crack in the wall. Look it up, I'm not lying. The second one wrote down whatever they wrote it down. And then the third one translated it. It's a good gig. But, you know, if they did it at the dark moon, they asphyxiated. Ethylene gas, womp womp. Just a little historical. where mystery meets science, right? Because the Oracle of Delphi is a real deal, as it was and still is a real thing. But certainly that's a new truth coming in, a new insight, a new mental inspiration, very third eye. Digging it. All right, the divine child. See these, once we get those first 3 down, it goes pretty quick. The divine child in their career, heart, third eye crown. All right, there's some indecision here. 2 of flames would be the 2 of wands, a bit of an internal crossroads. Throat chakra dynamic, not exactly, well, should I choose that or should I choose that? What will I do, right? Willpower, throat chakra dynamic. So the divine child might need a little divine inner child work, right? To kind of talk to, because the throat chakra really is the bridge between the heart and the third eye, obviously, but mental power and emotional power. And the child doesn't really know what to do when daddy says no and mommy says yes. The feminine says yes, the masculine says no, right? So that's pretty cool. There is a juggling and a balancing here, but a choice to be made. Maybe not a life-changing decision, but a choice. But every choice has consequence, and we are responsible for our choices. And it's just written that we have to deal with the consequences. Carolyn May says, "You breathe out choice, you breathe in consequence." Breathe. Let's go. My goddesses for this companion archetype in their vocation, right? Their life's calling, at least this stage of it right now, they have got the Libra card, the Mother of Blades, Skadi, Norse Ice Giantess. I don't know, are we gendering giants? Great name for a band. Gendering giants. But certainly Libra in this deck, literally written on it. This would be the King of Swords in the traditional tarot, based on the work of Pamela Coleman Smith's Rider-Waite deck. This is absolutely about 7th house one-on-one relationships, as well as your own shadow self, the stuff that you may not be dealing with in your own internal schemata. There's a choice there always. And what we tend to repress, we project or attract people to us that, if they don't have the exact issue, have an alchemical interaction. It's called being triggered, right? So, but this is a healing archetype, so there's always something to heal when a healing archetype shows itself. So this is about perhaps your shadow self in a spiritual sense, you know, to bring shadow to light. Is the alchemy work itself led to gold, pain to peace, toxic to healthy? But it's definitely about your one-on-one relationships. You can't get away with that with the companion. in the 8th, and Libra, Mother of Blades, King of Swords in there. Totes. Right, Venus ruled. Okay. All right. Next 3 cards. Mythic Tarot. These would be the last 3 chakras. Solar plexus, sacrum, and root. The physical world. What's this looks like from the inside, looking out on something from your point of view, or from the outside looking in at you. And sometimes it's both. It just is. It's holographic that way. It's a, what's called the mirror of now. Oh God, the 7 Essene mirrors by, oh God, his name just went out of my head. Oh, I love his name. The guy with the mullet. Greg Braden's mullet, right, another great name for a band. No, I love him, I tease. I used to have one in the 80s. Here we go. Enough about me, let's talk about you. Lower 3 chakras, please take a nice deep breath. Here we go. As I call upon my gods, the gods of Earth, the sign of Taurus, powers of the North. Please, lower 3 chakras. What's going on here? Work, career, vocation for the Taurus collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Watching this video, receiving this reading. Storyteller in their work in the 8th chakra with the Ace of Blades, the Sybil, heart, third eye crown, very third eye, but she was also very third chakra. There, what's that look like on the outer, the masculine dynamic, the yang part of this? The Lovers. So there is a life-changing decision in your work. Okay, now this is exactly what I was saying before with the choice, that what you've got going on in your career is a choice. This is different, Major Arcana. It's probably something in literal the physical world where you have to find, here's the challenge for this storyteller, and there is that truth coming in, by the way, how to make the most loving, wise, empowered decision you can. We have got Aphrodite, we have got Athena, we have got Hera, love, wisdom, and power at the Judgment of Paris, not the city in France, the Greek hero who had the golden apple and was chosen to choose who got that golden apple that had written on it to the most beautiful goddess at the wedding of Harmonia and Cadmus, which otherwise was a lovely affair. The hors d'oeuvres were divine. Memories light the corner of my mind. So look, the story you tell yourself here is key. The stories you hear, pay attention to it. If there are stories that are intended to harm or sabotage, right? Harming others, the shadow. This doesn't have to be you being the one telling the stories, but you might have them in you, and there is, like we see all the time, right? The Ace of Swords coming in and just clearing that out, a brand new thought, an illumination of the mind, right? An opening of the third eye and seeing truth rather than illusion. That makes sense, that one, with Storyteller in particular. All right, my gods, they've got no flippers, unless they're dolphins. Wait, no. Virgo, I won't say I'm having a conniption fit, but you don't really want me to shuffle cards that are all going in different directions, do you? Of course you don't, because you're sane. Breathe. Feet on the floor might help. My legs automatically cross, Virgo that I am. As I call upon one more time, my gods of Earth here. Sign of Taurus. Powers of the North. Divine child in their career. 8th chakra. Mahueha. The 2 of flames juggling that fire well. But what? In terms of their career, what's going on? They're on the outer, double whammy, Ace of Swords, Ace of Swords, Ace of Swords, Ace of Swords. You literally have the Ace of Blades and the Ace of Swords. That's called a double whammy. On the inner, in your work, so maybe you're not talking about this so much, you've got a decision, but certainly truth is revealed to you in your career from the divine child that is going to, well, and it could be that piece of information comes in this way, right, in your career from the outside in, and that's what's putting you in this place of, oh shit, I gotta make this choice. But I think this choice really has to do with your relationship to the divine. This could be an ethics thing, this could be an honor code thing, it could be all sorts of stuff. or it could just be about your hunger and your passion, and the life-changing decision. You know, do you stay or do you go? Do I work on a project today or not is a choice. Do I change my career? Do I step away from something that doesn't suit me anymore? But remember the stories. The stories. We need more clarity on this before doing this, right? And that's why I think there is somebody who's going to help you here. You know, whether the companionship is in the non-physical or the physical, there's definitely a one-on-one relationship presented here in terms of your life calling. Breathe. Yeah, please, my gods of earth. They've got the companion in their 8th chakra of their vocation, their life calling, their visionary intuition, and with the Libra card, Scotty, the mother of blades, the king of swords. That seems pretty balanced, pretty fair, but definitely another person involved here. What's going on? Lower 3 chakras. Page of Cups. So yes, there are messages coming in, but they may well be intuitive, emotional, element of water, but because they use the myth of Narcissus for the Page of Cups in this deck, we are seriously looking at some time of internal reflection, and offering the cup of love to yourself, giving yourself the time, the space, the emotional balance that you need here. But this could certainly involve another person. With this companion archetype, I would say that if there is one person, if this may not be for everybody, if this is an industry-wide thing, depending on what you do for work, the stories that are being told could certainly be with another person that you have a soul contract with, or, because there's more than one person in our lives, obviously, someone to help you really balance that out. But you have to drink from that cup, right? The Ace of Cups that's in the Page of Cups. You need to do take a step back, get into your life purpose. Got to feel this out. I mean, it sounds cliche, but what would love do? What would love do? And I just don't mean romantic love, or the passion for your creativity as the divine child. I mean, what would love as the great unifier of the divine singularity and form? That was a lot. What would it do? What would it do? And I think if you really come from that place with the Ace of Swords, because I'm not joking, this is Athena. This can be a wise thing that you do to cut away what does not serve and charge ahead into what does. Willpower, choice, right? But does that child in you feel safe? That might be your leverage right there. It's always one level of power. It feels like that they have the leverage. I think that's there. All right, last 3 cards down, the Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn. I'll show you how to put these together, all 3 of them, because they make 2 different paragraphs that are moving in the same direction. You'll see what I mean. Please take a nice deep breath. And I'm going to read it from the bookie book. It's worth it. These readings aren't as long as some of my others. As I call upon the Ascended Masters of Life Purpose manifested through the 3 levels of power, work, career, and vocation, please 3 healing mantra cards for the Taurus Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, watching this video, receiving this reading. What's perfect healing mantras to help them heal their work with the Storyteller in the 8th, the Sibyl on the inner, the Lovers on the outer. Discovering happiness, work, career, vocation. In their career, the Divine Child in the 8th, Mahuea, 2 of Flames on the inner, Ace of Swords on the outer. Sharing shame, we will talk about that. I'll flip the cards for you. So discovering happiness, sharing shame, in terms of your career, being an art form, that can be in all sorts of different stuff. But Ascended Masters, they got Companion in the 8th chakra. Skadi, the Libra, the Libra card, Cardinal Air, Creative Air, 7th House Dynamic, King of Swords. On the inner, Page of Cups on the outer, a message and or a messenger, but also a time of reflection to really get the message, get that intuitive message for themselves, maybe even in an emotional, visceral way. In their vocation, honoring adversity. Yeah, there's some shit going down. This is not the easiest thing that you are going through right now. There's got to be some kind of negative forces at play. You know, a negative force could be in the stock market, right? It depends on, in a general read, how you do that. But the way that you bring this into alignment is discovering happiness in your work, sharing shame in your career, and honoring adversity. But those aren't the mantras. Those are the names of the mantras. The mantra for the storyteller here in your work: I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I think that sometimes the wisest decision to make is, I'm not supposed to make this decision right now. Right? There's other stuff going on here. And watch the stories you're telling yourself. Make them as truthful as possible, at least to yourself. Because I think this decision, if you speak this truth, it feels like that Lover's card. It's going to change your life physically. Okay? The Divine Child here with the 2 flames on the inner. I'm going to juggle in that fire with the Ace of Swords on the outer. It's like the truth is obvious to you and in your career, your passion, and your thirst. Sharing shame. When I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. And that does feel like that would be done with another person here. The Companion, Libra, Page of Cups. Honoring adversity. A fire reveals a path of renewal, of renewed direction once the burning is complete, right? Like if you're in a forest, horrible image, I love trees, I'm past life dryad, baby. Right? A forest fire, and you fell into a burning ring of fire. Like Johnny Cash, bless your heart, bless your soul. Well, once the burning is complete in a certain direction, the path a new path of direction is shown, but you gotta wait till the burning is complete. So let me read these for you, and then I'll give you the blessing. Discovering happiness. Discovering happiness. This is a great one. I do this one often, particularly while I'm doing breath work. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. When happiness is discovered, you are inspired, excited, and passionate about the gift of being alive. And that's also part of the story you tell yourself, right? There is a willingness to open your heart to the mystery of each moment, whether you're getting what you want or witnessing unexpected outcomes. That's why you see it as a story. It's like, this is just another step in my work story. And I'm going to be the hero on the journey, and I'm going to allow myself to be content, discovering happiness, the true nature of the soul, happiness, going to allow that to rise. The discovery of happiness frees you from needing life to bring you more of this or less of that. The true joy of being yourself has dawned. This mantra is ideal for facing disappointment, developing self-approval, which is so fucking key in the workforce right now, and feeling fulfilled, particularly if you're an essential worker and you feel like you're not being acknowledged. Discovering I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. And just to clarify, that is a Lover's card decision in any situation. The moment you decide that I am going to give myself more love, not less, I'm going to allow myself to be at peace, to be content exactly where I am right now. It's very Eckhart Tolle, it's very Zen, but it allows you to discover the happiness that is already dormant within you. That's great. The Divine Child, sharing shame, right? Like little kids say, shame on you. Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? I live alone and I'm an adult. They don't even make it to a jar. I eat them right out of the bag. I can clear a bag of Pepperidge Farm Nantuckets in 10 minutes. Sharing shame. So we have this Divine Child right there with this internal juggling of fire, Ace of Swords on the outer. This might be them speaking their truth in their career, but not so sure in their work. When I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. And that permission to be, this is my editorial, the permission to be is giving yourself space to feel what you feel without condemnation. Right? Even if it's shame, it will be uncomfortable stuff. We usually don't need to give ourselves too much permission for feeling fine. When blame is shared, cycles of victimhood are permitted to heal as you find the courage to speak your truth, since abuse and neglect can only be perpetuated in silence. It is your willingness to step forward and share your life story that helps transform each wound and inspire others to be set free. They're just giving me a flash. Anatomy of the Spirit, Carolyn Myss, throat chakra, the symbolic sacrament of confession. right? Confessing to another person in confidentiality, or at least in prayer, heart, third eye crowd. That's the choice you might be making about really speaking the truth and maybe receiving some truth that would give you permission to be as you are, so that you can allow yourself to be content exactly as you are. This totally clicks together. Where did I leave off? Since abuse and neglect can only be perpetrated in silence, it is your willingness to step forward and share your life story that helps transform each wound and inspire others to be set free, which is definitely a good career move, right? Inspiring others. Once your shame is shared, you are able to honor yourself with the heightened encouragement, worthiness, and validation that you deserve to receive. Now, look, if you are a writer, right, and that is your work, that's how you work the physical part of it, just going to say tapping into childhood trauma is going to connect with a lot of people, right? If you are a storyteller, even if it's fiction, right? That there's something about sharing your shame through your creativity, but again, creativity ain't just about creating product, right? There's all sorts of different ways creativity manifests, particularly for a divine child. Once your shame is shared, you are able to honor yourself with the heightened encouragement, worthiness, and validation that you deserve to receive. There you go. There you go. This mantra is ideal for revisiting past traumas, expressing your inner child, divine inner child, expressing it, right? That Ace of Swords is totally right on. And finding self-acceptance. And I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. This is pretty holographic. Boogie, oogie, oogie. We have got the honoring adversity. I mean, I consider sharing shame, honoring adversity, demystifying the darkness. There's a handful of cards in here that I consider womp womp cards. Womp womp. But they are to heal, and this is life purpose stuff. And it ain't much of a hero's journey without demons and dragons and shadows. Oh my. So you've got the companion in the 8th chakra in your vocation. Mother of Blades is very relationship oriented for sure, Z's. But with that Page of Cups, perhaps some self-love, your relationship to your vocation, your life calling. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. When adversity is honored, life is appreciated as oscillating cycles of deterioration and renewal. The cycle of life, the cycle of the seasons, the moon cycles, right? Wax and wane, right? Deterioration and renewal. Deterioration is the natural process of new things becoming old, while renewal is the process of old things becoming new. Obviously, to renew something. As you learn to honor these two interconnected processes, just as naturally as the changing of seasons, you are able to embrace adversity. It is not a punishment, but a gift of renewal birthed out of the ashes of erosion. This is like a phoenix card. And this might be in a particular relationship. It just might be, but to even have someone, like, it does feel like there's a rite of confession going on here, even if not with the little Ziploc door. You know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about. Forgive me, Father, it's been 10,000 lives since my last confession. I do it to the gods direct. Thank you very much. I got out my own little hotline. Everybody does. This is really about a healing here. That it's part of your life path in terms of your vocation, your calling, what you came into this lifetime to do, among other things. This mantra is ideal for processing unforeseen changes. Ooh, wasn't expecting that. And that might be on the table here as well. Overcoming superstitious beliefs. Well, if I do that, then maybe that'll happen or that'll happen. Our superstitions are stories we tell ourselves that are not necessarily true. And honestly, I live with 3 black cats, and they're the smartest beings I think I've met on the planet. Well, in a certain felinity. You can say humanity. Felinity. Overcoming superstitious beliefs and surrendering the ego. All right. All right, I honor the adversity I'm going through, but adversity is necessary on a hero's journey. Otherwise, it's not much of a journey. And remember, not every lives are like the ones we have now. The milkmaid life, right? The stable boy life, right? The farmer lives, nothing wrong with them. Necessary root, sacrum, solar plexus development. And I'm talking like for thousands of years, right? Today, definitely farming, and it's just different. It's just different now, right? But these are the lives where we are going through spiritual awakening, and it does feel like there's some really powerful stuff going on here on the table. So let me give you the final blessing here. Hopefully the divine will put it all together, but just to clarify, you're discovering happiness, sharing shame, honoring adversity. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. When I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be, and if fire reveals a path of new direction once the burning is complete. Incredibly powerful. Please take a nice deep breath. Tricky, but a good read. As I call upon the collective pantheons of the divine to please bless the Taurus collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading with all that they need in their work, career, vocation, that they can bring it into balance, bring it into alignment, and really experience the fulfillment that in their work they embrace their ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols with new truth downloading in them, but a major decision on the table. But that part of that decision is allowing them to be content exactly as they am, content, discovering happiness, maybe not bouncing off the walls with joy, that in their career, that they can really talk to and work with that divine child within them, discovering the innocence, purity, and redemption, which means whatever they've been through has been redeemed, understood, the value extracted from it, suggests a special, that they can really embrace that special connection they have with their divine, but it is their own choice. And they may be at a crossroads inside of themselves, but there is truth coming to them, and it does feel like horizontally from the outside in, or maybe vertically, as we see coming in here, heart, third eye, crown in their work. And that seems to have to do with, or perhaps is triggered by, a sharing of shame, because when they share their deepest pain, they give themselves permission to be as they are. And the point of power and healing is always in the present moment, so that in their vocation they can, with this companion archetype, embrace their loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness in some relationship, some Libra one-on-one thing that's affecting them, heart, third eye, crown, most certainly heart there, while they take the time of inner reflection. Maybe this person is the one that this sharing shame is about, or maybe it's the one that they're sharing shame with, to transform them so that they can get that there's an honoring of adversity here, maybe on all sides, because a fire reveals their path of new direction once the burning is completed. And though this is not an easy reading, it is simple, that they can take this step by step, breath by breath, the guidance and grace giving them, because that's what they came into this world to do this time, and to line up these chakras and to balance these three levels of power so that they are happier, healthier, wealthier, wiser, fulfilling their role in the divine plan for their well-being and for the well-being of all. For the well-being of all. And with harm to none, as we will it, so let it be done. So would it be. So it is. And that's your work, career, vocation reading, my bulls. Did you like it? Like it? Want more? Subscribe to me here on YouTube. You want to really have the Mark Angelo Lyons Mouth for Short experience? Follow me on patreon.com/drawingthecircle. And if you want to book me for a read, there's a link in the description box. And you want a tarot party on Zoom, we could do that too. Happy hour tarot parties, a lot of fun. But there's all sorts of good creativity coming down the pike for 2022 at the time of this recording. But for wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, wishing you the very best and the very blessed, my beloved fellow earth signs. Hail, farewell, and blessed be.